Let's take a look at Wednesday. There are 8 games in the NBA. We're previewing it, looking at streaming options, who's in, who's out. There's a few of those guys. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and if you want to get max aura, you just got to like and subscribe. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com. You can find me on Blue Sky, joshlloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Also, check out LockedOnDaily.com and get the best NBA newsletter for your favorite team. Sign up and get it delivered to your inbox 5 days a week. Let's talk about these games. 8 of them on Wednesday. It is Chris Douglas Roberts' birthday, so shout out to CDR. If you remember him, you are, maybe you're an unk now at this point if you're a big CDR guy. Do you remember CDR? Yeah? Unk? Like me? Is there a term for what's the female unk? I know it's an auntie, obviously, but we just call them auntie. Do you see any aunt? I mean, that's just a regular word anyway. There's no real word for it, is there? Anyway, shout out to the unks. Let's look at what is on my radar. Coming up for these 8 games, the first one, it is the Washington Wizards and the Philadelphia 76ers. There already is a large injury list here. We have some updates on some stuff as well. This is a back-to-back for Washington. I'll just tell you, again, we're doing Schedule Plus stuff. Actually did forget to put the graphic up there. The Wizards are in a Schedule Plus position. Schedule Plus means 3 games in 4 nights, or 4 games in 6 nights. The Wizards have got it. So they're in a Schedule Plus position. They're also coming in off on a back-to-back on Tuesday as well. So not only do they have a 4 in 6, they got a 5 in 7. Brogdon is out on Tuesday. I don't expect Brogdon to play on Wednesday. It's Malcolm Brogdon, and it's the Wizards. I don't think he plays. Marvin Bagley's going to be out. Johnny Davis has been ruled out for illness for Tuesday's game. We've seen illnesses strike down plenty of players this season, and I don't think that he'll play again. And then the question's going to be on Carrington, on Poole, and on Coulibaly, because Jordy Poole is out on Tuesday, but Bub and Bilal are both playing. Bilal with the tummy issue, the old hepatitis A striking him down. So I'm going to guess that Bilal is ready to go. Bub had ankle soreness. That's going to be touch and go. And then Poole is dealing with the hip problem. So he's, again, I think, a true questionable tag. The Sixers have really chucked some wobblies in here. KJ Martin's out, but who cares? Kyle Lowry's out. Also, who cares? Joel Embiid is out again. Foot sprain. Now, you know my opinion on Embiid this season. I didn't want him. I didn't want to draft him. I didn't want to trade for him. I didn't want to buy low for him. I want nothing to do with him. This is not even the problem that kept Joel Embiid out to begin the season. He's already had 2 separate absences this season, and I'm not going to ding him necessarily for those, but that's not even the problem that I had an issue with. It's now a foot sprain, and it was a face fracture, and he's missed the start of the season because of his knee. So, yeah. Paul George also just popping up out of nowhere now with an injured tag. So no Paul George tomorrow. Great. So now we get back to the scenario where it's Tyrese Maxey having to do everything. So he'll probably shoot 30% on 24 attempts. But no George, no Embiid, no Martin, no Lowry, maybe no Drummond. He's questionable with this one too. So what am I watching for on the Philly side? Caleb Martin, look, it's an opportunity again. He's playing a lot of minutes. Now, we know what Caleb is, and this isn't against Boston, unfortunately, but he can have 6 points. He might have 18 points. But there are so many more opportunities with those guys out. In terms of stream guys, Justin Champagny, old passion pop there in Washington, has to be an option for us. We might not have Brogdon. We might not have Poole. We might not have Bub. We probably do have Bilal, but this is extra opportunity for Champagny, who is hit or miss. We know this. And then on the Sixers side, it has to be Kelly Oubre. You could throw Drummond or Yabusele in there. Drummond's had many opportunities to start, and we don't know if he's going to be available. But Oubre is a guy that is still available here in a lot of spots. He can be annoying, but this is a chance where he's going to take a lot of shots as well. Second game. It is an absolute banger. We had the banger Oklahoma City-Boston game the other day, and now the Thunder, after taking care of business there, go to take on Cleveland. These teams with incredible records, massive win streaks. Don't know what happened there. Why is my video just paused? I'm worried it's going to be one of these shows where things cut and you're going to have weird cuts in the show. So apologies, the graphic is now up on the screen. Thunder, Cavs. Cavs are 2-point favorites at home, both teams with extraordinarily long win streaks, very few losses. What are they, like? Is it under 10 combined losses for these teams this season? I think that sounds about right. The let's say Cavs are 2-point favorites. Chet's going to be out. Two-way legend AJ Mitchell is going to be out, and they did waive Brandon Carlson today on the league cut down day, whatever it is, where the non-guarantees become guaranteed. So I believe they will convert Mitchell without any question now. So look for him to be able to play the full load of minutes when he's healthy. Caruso's out again. And then for Cleveland, Merrill and Isaac Okoro, who's been out for a while with a shoulder, they're both questionable here. Now, if they both play, that squeeze on reserve minutes is going to be interesting. Now, this game should be close. And we've seen the Cavs, like it's 29 minutes for 29 minutes and 31 minutes and 30 minutes for all the big guys. I think this game, might actually save it and push. And you get 34, 35, Mobley, Mitchell, Garland, Allen, which means the bench gets to do even less. For the Thunder side of things, Jalen Williams has really been struggling. We talked about it a little bit earlier on the Buy Low show, saying that he did marginally improve, but still not a top 100 player. And he needs to be way better. The shooting is down, defensive stats somewhat down. He just is not playing well. So let's watch that. And then on the Cavs also, Donovan Mitchell. I expected a drop from him this season. It has been way more than I thought. And he's been a big letdown to people that picked him very, very early. So again, this is part of I'm watching to see if the minutes do push up, and I think they will, and we'll see what happens. In terms of streams, Case and Wallace, and we saw this the other day with the Thunder playing against the Celtics as they just ran a really tight rotation. We got like 34 minutes out of Wallace, and I think we'll get it again. So he is a great stream for steals. You occasionally get threes and assists and a block or so. He's a really good stream here, I think. And then Karis LeVert's less interesting because of the possible presence of Merrill, Okoro, Wade, Strus, so many of these guys off the bench, Milk, that his production is down. Plus, he's a very inconsistent player, as I'm sure you are all well aware. Now, we cross our fingers hoping that the next graphic doesn't screw things up. We're good. Bulls, Pacers, third game of the day. The Pacers are 5.5-point favorites here. Dosunmu is out. Tory the Stallion is out as well. Aaron Nesmith is out for the Pacers, and Tyrese Halliburton popped up as questionable. So be aware of that. He sprained his ankle on Monday just before halftime. Went to the locker room about 3 seconds earlier than everybody else. Came out, started, played the second half, put up a really good game. But he's now popped up as questionable. So you need to be ready to look at TJ McConnell and Andrew Nembhard as very strong adds if Halliburton is out. In terms of what I'm watching for, I talked about him on the Sell High this morning. Zach LaVine is cooking at the moment. What I want to see, I guarantee you the shooting is not going to be this good. What I want to see is where the usage sits, because he's been running at 30%. Is that what the plan is on this team? Is that how he's going to be used? Let's see it. And then for the Pacers, it is TJ McConnell, because he's not a rosterable player in most scenarios, but Halliburton might be out. In terms of stream guys, I'll go Patrick Williams and Andrew Nembhard. Nembhard's safe enough to stream if Halliburton's in, but if Halliburton is out, then McConnell probably jumps slightly ahead of Nembhard, although both guys will be excellent in that particular situation. The next game, it is Revenge Game Central. Raptors, Knicks in New York. We've got both of these teams actually with a schedule plus position. The Raptors and the Knicks are on a really nice run of things. In terms of injuries, we've got Mitchell Robinson out, and the big ones are going to be in New York. Well, one of the big ones, it's Karl Anthony Towns, who missed the last game with a knee issue. If he is not available, they went to 30 minutes of Jericho Sims last time out and lost to the Magic team, missing their four best players. So we'll see. No, not their four best, their three best players. And Juice McBride, questionable with hamstring soreness, sorest hamstring of all time. We will see whether they are available or not. But even if Towns is out, I really don't think that Sims is playing 30 minutes in the next one. In terms of what we're watching, I talked about not both these players, but I did talk about Emmanuel quickly earlier today. He's going back to play against the Knicks. He's really struggled with the shot in the 3 games since returning. I am very confident that he is a buy low, and I want to see what he's able to do here. And then the guy that I think is a buy low, but man, it has been a long time of being under expectation, and that's Jalen Brunson. Too much weirdness in terms of volumes of threes, lack of defensive stats, overall decline in efficiency has left him not what you wanted. So let's see how it goes. He'll probably get more shots if Towns is out, I'm guessing. Ochai Agbaji is probably the stream in Toronto, but man, I just don't like it. What you also have seen, though, in that team is that Mobo back out of the rotation and Davion Mitchell out of the rotation. So Agbaji gets his 24 minutes. Maybe you get a steal or a block, but Jamal Shed is the primary backup point guard at the moment, and then there's Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk as part of that bench group as well. And then for the Knicks, I still would use Achua over Sims. Now, Achua, not good, but at least he's got a floor value that if Towns plays, he gets minutes, because if Towns doesn't play, Sims gets 0. Or sorry, if Towns does play, Sims gets 0. And yeah, that's clearly not a good floor position to be in. We've got 4 more games to talk about. Is it 4 or 3? I've done 4. We've got 4 more games to talk about. We'll come back to talk about those. But today's episode is brought to you by a new sponsor on the show. It is the Ultimate College Basketball HC. If you've ever dreamed about running a program, being a college head coach, well, you've got a chance to play it on this new mobile game, Ultimate College Basketball HC. You can hire your coaching staffs. You recruit staff. Let's just say that. Recruiting players, NIL deals, scholarships, training camps. It is all in your hands at Ultimate College Basketball HC. And then game time, you draw up the plays, you set your team's strategy. All of those things go into winning the game, but setting your rotations, all of that stuff to build your program and build your legacy. So if you are a listener to this show now, you've got a special offer. You get the advantage over others. You can use the code LOCKEDONCBB, all caps, inside the game store and get a free boost for your program. It is the perfect way to kickstart your coaching career. So download Ultimate College Basketball HC. Go to ultimate-cbb.com or look it up in the app stores. It's Ultimate College Basketball HC. Begin your coaching legacy today. All right, like I said, there are 4 games down. There are 4 games to go. Pistons and Nets, and this is another game with just a million things happening there on the waiver wire, on the injury report. The Pistons are in a Schedule Plus position here as well. They're also 7.5 point favorites on the road. Asar Thompson is out again with an illness. The red flag and the siren is not quite going off, but I'm definitely like, huh. And the fact that the Pistons should know that. They should know. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Asar Thompson missed all the start of this season with a blood clot in his lungs, which they labeled illness last season. And the fact that they're just saying illness, and maybe I'm wrong, but I have not seen a clarifying statement to say that he's dealing with a respiratory illness or a flu, a sinus, or whatever, right? I haven't heard anything to say that. The Pistons, you would have thought, if I was working in that front office and in their PR or comms or whatever, I'd be like, hey, might want to just make sure it's out there that he's just got a head cold because he missed 7 months with a blood clot and we want to assure people that it's okay. The fact that they haven't is either incompetence or it's worrying. So we keep an eye on it, and I hope it's nothing more. And then we get to just a million players out for the Nets. Bojan Bogdanovic, out. D'Angelo Russell, out. Cam Thomas, out. Cam Johnson, out. Trendon Watford, out. Maxwell Lewis, out. Ben Simmons might return, though. He's dealing with a calf soreness. He missed the last 2 games. They got him questionable. He was questionable last game and didn't play either. So I'm not going to bank on him being there. So what do we watch in this game? Well, Jalen Duren is playing better. So I just want to continue to see whether is he a 24-minute guy or is he up to the 27-minute player that he's been of late. And then on the Nets, Zaire Williams has put together 2 really good games. My faith in the consistency of his shooting is not really there. But again, the only way to get that faith is to just do it consistently. So we watch that. He's playing like 25 a night. If he gets to 28, Zaire, I think he's a very clear 12-team guy. But he needs to get there, and he's not there yet. In terms of streams, Leaky Beasley, you know you are at risk of a stinker at any point, and he stunk last game. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but the opportunity's there. And I think Keon Johnson's just a guy to roster. But again, when we're talking Keon Johnson, it's very clear to look at, well, no Russell, no Thomas, no Johnson, maybe no Simmons. Great for Keon. When they all play, he won't be worth it. But they're not playing, so that doesn't matter. So for now, we like the short-term value of what Keon Johnson potentially can provide to us. The next game is the Trailblazers and the Pelicans. The Pelicans are coming in on a back-to-back here in this game. It is a Schedule Plus position for Portland. In terms of who's in, who's out, again, the world of the NBA is always evolving. So I wasn't sure about Jeremy Grant, but we do know now that Jeremy Grant is out. Matisse Thybulle is out. Must be a really bad, face contusion for Jeremy. Terrible. Also, his calendar's all whacked up. He must think it's March. But he's not going to play because he's got a facial contusion. Brandon Ingram's going to be out. And I'm just going to put Zion Williamson as doubtful. Now, Zion is playing on Tuesday. He's going to have a minutes restriction Tuesday. There is no world that I see that he plays on Wednesday. So doubtful is being optimistic. There's no way he plays. Trey Murphy is out on Tuesday. I'm going to put him doubtful for Wednesday. It's an ankle sprain. The messaging on it is unclear. Shockingly, NBA teams creating confusing narratives. By the way, after Jason Kidd said yesterday about Daniel Gafford, it's going to be a significant injury. Guess what he said today, day to day? Cool. Thank you, Jason, for all of your clear information. I know you're just the coach and you know nothing. So, maybe I shouldn't expect that from you. But anyway, the messaging on Trey Murphy's ankle is still all over the shop, so I just don't think he's going to play. DeJounte Murray remains a game-time decision for Tuesday, so I'll put him questionable for Wednesday as well. Jamal Cain is out on Tuesday, so I'll put him questionable on Wednesday. And I do have Jose Alvarado with maybe he rests. He's been back for a week or so from a hamstring injury. It is a back-to-back, so maybe there's a chance he doesn't play, especially if DeJounte sits on Tuesday and he needs to play a larger role. We'll see what that does for Jose heading into Wednesday. What do I want to watch on the Blazers? Well, Scoot Henderson was absolutely terrible in the last game. And I want to see how they continue to use him because he's had a few moments of playing 30 minutes, and every time it happens, someone will always ask me or mention a comment, it's a breakout coming. And at this point, we just have to say no. Like, very clearly, no. He's got to be able to do it when everyone is there and force Coach of the Year, Chauncey Billups, to make the decision to put him into a large role because it is not happening. So we do not roster Scoot Henderson. In terms of stream guys, Tamani Kamara continues to get a lot of minutes, so we continue to stream him even though the upside is relatively low. And then there are going to be opportunities on the New Orleans side. Now, there could be no Trey and no Zion, maybe no DeJounte as well, so BJ Boston gets a look in. But, you could have a look at a Jose Alvarado if he plays. You could take a look at Jordan Hawkins if you don't value your fantasy team at all. There are other guys there. Boston's probably the one I look at. Deeper leagues, you might also look at someone like a Jeremiah Robinson Earl there who would get some extra minutes with both Murphy and Zion potentially out of the game. The next one we look at is the Clippers and the Nuggets. We're in Denver for this one. It is a back-to-back for Denver. They are 2.5-point favorites, the Nuggets. Aaron Gordon is out on Tuesday. I don't think that he plays Wednesday, but he's not officially out for that game yet. Vlatko Cancar is out. And I always make this mistake with Cancar. I said that he was Serbian because he's best mates with Jokic. But he's not, he's Slovenian. So I made that mistake. So Cancar is Slovenian and not Serbian. So I apologize for that mistake that I made the other day. Nikola Jokic has popped up as probable on the injury report with an illness, and we know how illnesses have ravaged NBA teams this season. It looks like he'll play Tuesday, but I'll just put a probable tag on him again for Wednesday and just make sure nothing goes wrong. Kawhi Leonard is something we want to watch. The minutes, it's more just about what the minutes are. He's going to be rusty. He will shoot poorly as he comes back. This is just what happens. We've seen it so many times now. But it's more about, are they going to keep him at 20? To get a 23? What's his usage look like in that role? In terms of streaming guys, Chris Dunn is definitely not a 12-team must roster anymore, but he's at least streamable to get some defensive stats in. And then on the Denver side, speaking of defensive stats, Peyton Watson is the guy that you stream in there while Aaron Gordon is presumed to be out. The last game of the day is the Bucks Bucks hosting the San Antonio Spurs. And the thing that I wanted to watch in this game was to see what would happen with Jeremy Sohan. But unfortunately, Jeremy Sohan is not going to play. The Bucks are 5-point favorites here. Giannis, Middleton, and Andre Jackson are all listed probable. We know that Middleton missed the last game for the ankle issue, but he's allegedly returning. But Sohan, after playing limited minutes and me featuring him on the Buy Low show earlier today, they've just decided to rule him out again with the back. So that's a little bit, it's a little concerning. Obviously, we hope that it's nothing major that's going on here, but it is, it's a little concerning to pay attention to that. Also, just saw an update on a couple of updates here. Nikola Jokic has been downgraded to questionable. That means he's almost definitely out on Tuesday with illness. A probable to questionable downgrade an hour before the game is a big deal. And then Donovan Clingan, what is Portland doing? Donovan Clingan is now questionable for rest. I'm sorry, what? Donovan Clingan is questionable for rest. Bro doesn't play. I know I've had issues with his cardio ability, but come on, bro doesn't even play. Is this another one of those things they're just trying to mess with us? So that, in an hour's time, we'll get a probable tag on him for rest. What is going on with that ridiculous medical staff medical reporting group? Insane. Anyway, Jeremy Sohan is out for the Spurs, so that will mean extra opportunities for old mate, the pencil Harrison Barnes. Barnesy! That's just desperation stuff streaming him in, though. I hope they give a bit more to Julian Champagny and to Keldon Johnson. On the Bucks, we saw Bobby Portis' minutes push back down. Now, he was still great in those minutes. How is Portis going to be able to do anything with Wemby out there? Probably not. I want to see what the Lopez-Portis situation is. In terms of streams, Julian Champagny definitely rises up there. So does Barnes, so does Castle, so does Johnson. And then big boom, AJ Green for the Bucks. But, it's him or it's Trent, and you're never going to have a level of confidence in which one of those guys is going to perform at any time. We could have talked schedule stuff. We're going to talk streaming in a sec. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by Game Time and the Game Time app. So you're going to watch your favorite team. You're going to watch a theater event, comedy, musicals, whatever it is. Getting tickets is a pain at times. But with Game Time and Game Time Picks, you can save yourself time, get the best value seats to go and watch whatever event it is for you, your friends, your partners, gifts, whatever it is. Game Time Picks saves you time, saves you money. They've got the views from your seat when you open the app so you can see what it's actually going to look like when you get to the venue. You've got all the super deals there. The app's all-in pricing as well, so you don't get surprise fees at checkout. It's all there. So take that guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time and download the Game Time app. Create an account and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right, let's take a look at some schedule things now for us to pay attention to, including back-to-backs and chunks. There are 4 teams with a Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back. Cleveland, Pistons. Why did I say it that way? It sounds so weird. The Cavs, the Pistons, the Blazers, and the Raptors have the Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back. In terms of chunks, what we're looking at is who's got basically 3 games in 5 nights, and are they all streamable days? They are. So let's take a look. And they're all 60% plus available. Kelly Oubre, Patrick Williams, Andrew Nembhard, Lonzo Ball, Malik Beasley, and Cason Wallace. 3 games, 5 nights to end the week with some value to make an impact on your fantasy team. And then when we look at the next 7 days, has anyone got a great schedule or a great little period or a bad little period? And the answer is, yeah, the Celtics have a bad period. 2 games starting Wednesday over the next 7 nights for Boston. Now, that doesn't really mean anything, but, because you're not dropping Porzingis or Brown or Tatum or White, probably not even Holiday, although points leagues, I get it, and not Pritchard, even though he struggled. But they do have 2 games. So Al Horford is 100% not the hold, and if he was trying a Sam Hauser or something like that, it's a bad period of time here. It is useful for these guys because we know they love to rest and preserve themselves for the playoffs, so they're going to play at least these 2 games. You feel pretty confident about that. That will bring us to talk about now streaming and streams of the day at this point in the show, which is, of course, where we're at. Who is the stream of the day? Well, for 10-teamers, I think it's Keon Johnson. Just, there's enough players out there and enough of a responsibility that he's established for him to be useful. For 12s, I'll go with Patrick Williams, and I do that with a very heavy heart because I know that it'll bite me on the ass at some point. Caleb Martin for 14s, and 16-teamers, I'm going to go with Day'Ron Sharpe, who's been very, very good. I don't know that he gets these minutes every single game, but he's played very well. Your Yahoo points is Kelly Oubre, and your ESPN points guy there is Leaky Beasley. Let's just dig a little bit deeper into that, and we'll start with a 10-team category list. Keon Johnson sits at the top there. Patrick Williams, Andrew Nembhard, Lonzo Ball. Of course, you're going to bump Nembhard up if Halliburton is out. We've got Cason Wallace there, and I do have Noah Clowney there. I know people are hating on Noah Clowney. I get it. At some point, I guess he's going to block a shot. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he never does that again. But he did lead the team in shot attempts last game, and that is important enough for me to at least have it on my radar. And everybody is still out on that team. In terms of 12-team guys, you've got Yabusele, whose value would actually rise above Clowney's if we know that Drummond is out. You've got Caleb Martin, Day'Ron Sharpe, Timothy John McConnell, who would also rise above Clowney in the situation where Halliburton's out. You've got Julian Champagny, who probably actually does rise up now because I created this list before Sohan was out. And Zaire Williams, who's playing well. I just want to see 28 minutes or so. For deeper leagues, I've got Chris Dunn there. I also do have Precious Achiuwa, who would rise up if we do hear that Towns is out, but it could be Sims time. Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Wilson, who has been just putrid in his minutes. Aaron Wiggins, and then maybe you were able to fight through and get the good Tim Hardaway game? Or would that one happen last time out, so maybe not. For Yahoo points leagues, we've got Kelly Oubre, Andrew Nembhard, Malik Beasley, Patrick Williams, Keon Johnson, and Gershon Yabusele. And lastly, ESPN points league streaming guys, Beasley, Nembhard, Pat Williams, Kelly Oubre, Gershon Yabusele, and the big fella, the Joker himself, Noah Clowney. That is the end of the preview for Chris Douglas Roberts' birthday. If you want to celebrate CDR's birthday, go ahead. Do it with a thumb, do it with a comment, but also do it just by, positive thinking. Just acknowledging something we did that was good. Make it the smallest thing you can find. Because what's that saying that is stupid but also true? From little things, big things grow. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.